Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Belfast for the 2019 UKIP local election campaign launch. Firstly, for the benefit of those whose acquaintance I have not yet made, my name is Paul Girvan, and it is my honour to have been appointed as the regional branch organiser in November 2016. As UKIP in Northern Ireland found herself rudderless and adrift at that time, it was all hands on deck if she were to be steered back on course. And those who endured through this time of adversity embody the true spirit of UKIP, and I'd like to pay tribute to them again today. Special mention in dispatches for our chairman, Johnny Lavery, Secretary Keith Lonsdale, and our spokesman, Robert Hill. Please take a bow, gentlemen. It is thanks in particular to the stoicism of these three exemplary kippers that the local branch overcame the seemingly insurmountable odds it faced this time last year. Their sense of duty stands in stark contrast to the opportunistic motives of those who back in 2014-2015 sought to hijack the party as a vehicle for their own self-advancement. Their resignations were in many ways cathartic for the branch. No longer were we beholden to the interests and agenda of a select few. And UKIP in Northern Ireland finally began to rediscover her identity as a grassroots-driven, activism-based movement. While we may have lost 3 councillors, I can assure you the contribution of those who have joined in that same period already surpasses the efforts that the desultory efforts that had so regrettably become their hallmark. Well, credit is due to the local committee for having overseen a remarkable 50% growth in membership this year. There can be no denying that Gerard Batten's appointment as party leader was a major catalyst in our revival. Since taking the reins, he has expanded our traditional support base, attracting such influential figures as Paul Joseph Watson, Sargon of Akkad, and our friend Count Dankula. The cachet of these high-profile recruits is mirrored in many of the recent additions to our own regional membership, with prominent businessmen, academics, and ex-servicemen among their ranks. In the words of Gerard himself, a party is only as strong as its members, and by that measure, today finds us in rude health. Although we may still be relatively modest in number, that is no cause for humility. I wear this as a badge of honour, and I'm very privileged to be among such distinguished company today. By harnessing your talents, I'm confident we will reap rewards in next month's local government elections. While I'm under no illusions about the scale of that task, I've detected throughout our regular days of action a genuine appetite for change among pro-union voters. We're currently faced with a Hobson's choice between the moribund Ulster Unionist Party and an increasingly discredited DUP. Lacking their media presence, we are, however, at a distinct disadvantage, a voice in the wilderness. By challenging the establishment political class's orthodoxies, not least legislative devolution, our message will find a very receptive audience. The Ulster Unionist Party has already sat up and taken notice by unashamedly borrowing our For the Union slogan and parroting much of our rhetoric. Why accept imitations when you can vote for the genuine article? If we already wield such influence without sitting councillors, imagine the platform elected representation would give us. So, much like 12 months ago, it's all hands on deck, only this time the prize is even greater. Together, we can deliver and really start to shape the political narrative by breaking the conspiracy of silence that surrounds so many issues locally. That campaign begins today, and thank you all for playing your part. Believe in Britain. Vote UKIP, get UKIP.
Hello and greetings to everybody in Northern Ireland. On the 2nd of May, you will have the opportunity to vote in the local council elections. Now, local elections are, of course, about local issues, but they can also be about national issues. I'm asking you to cast your vote for your local UKIP council candidates for two main reasons. Number one is, of course, so that they can represent you locally and look after your interests. Number two is so that you can send a message to our out-of-touch MPs in Westminster. UKIP believes in the United Kingdom and in Northern Ireland as part of that union. Nearly 350,000 of you voted to leave the European Union in the referendum of 2016. The result of that referendum has been betrayed by the cross-party political class in Westminster. By voting UKIP on the 2nd of May, you have a second opportunity to vote to leave the European Union and send a message to those MPs. Your local UKIP councillors, when you elect them, will of course look after your interests. But remember, a vote for UKIP is always a vote to leave the European Union. Vote UKIP, vote to make Brexit happen. Thank you.
In Northern Ireland, many towns will be seeing UKIP candidates standing in their local elections. It's so very important that you go out on May the 2nd and vote for UKIP. If you spoil your ballot, what you're doing is giving that seat to a traditional party. These people have let you down before, they've betrayed you in Westminster, but it's more than Brexit. This is about local elections, it's about local issues. It's people standing up for you and fighting for what you want, what you believe in. UKIP councillors are there to defend you and to fight for your rights and to fight for what goes on at the local issues in your area. On May the 2nd, go out there and vote UKIP.
Politicians are elected to serve the people. Sadly, we've seen too many examples of politicians putting themselves or their party first. A UKIP councillor will always put local needs and interests first. We'll be outspoken local representatives and we won't be there to simply make up the numbers.
There is a democratic deficit at Stormont. This failed experiment cannot go on. We believe in transferring those powers to local government and giving you a say in what really matters.
We believe in empowering local communities and returning power to the people. Very many more local decisions and services could and should be made at council level. For example, decisions on local roads, schools and housing.
Councils should always be prioritising frontline local services and investing in improving our towns, villages and communities. UKIP councillors will make this a priority from day one.
We've always believed that rates should be as low as possible. We are opposed to the waste of ratepayers' money on fat cat council executive salaries, expensive PR stunts and vanity council projects.
UKIP councillors will not be dictated to by the politically correct. We will always stand up for local people and common sense. This may come as a shock to the old parties, but it's a breath of fresh air to the people who have been let down time and time again.
Stormont, home of the Northern Ireland Assembly. The power sharing government here collapsed over 2 years ago, but it still cost the taxpayer over £10 million in salary and associated expenses. Fabulous architecture, monumental failure. UKIP would like to see most of the power held by the Stormont Assembly transferred to local councils, transferred to you, the local people.
Many understandably feel that the old parties are out of touch and are simply not representing the interests of the people anymore. While we fund the lifestyles of a work-shy political class, local families are feeling the pinch. Many are left scratching their heads, wondering why these politicians continue to get money for nothing at a time when services are stretched to breaking point.
UKIP councillors will Always put local interests, not party or self-interest first. Campaign to end the Stormont gravy train and empower councils with much more decision-making authority over local services. Campaign for the lowering of rates across the board. Fight to stop the waste of ratepayers' money on Fat Cat Council executive salaries and vanity projects. Campaign to prioritise council investment in frontline services and in reinvigorating our cities, towns, villages and local communities.
In all corners of our United Kingdom, UKIP is standing up for the local people and local issues. Together we can send a clear message in this election by electing UKIP councillors in Northern Ireland who will put local interests first. On Thursday, May the 2nd, vote UKIP.